Benoist, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
Really? She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired to discuss and review the Supergirl Season 6 episode titled Magical Thinking. There wasn't really any news this week. We'll talk about DC fandom next time. So that was kind of the only thing that came out. The only other thing that was like newsworthy this week was Melissa Benoist went back to having brunette hair. So that's
Drama.
I guess a news item. She's not really looking like Supergirl anymore.
It's a wrap on Supergirl.
So I guess that was maybe I guess we could have considered it a news item. I guess that's kind of a big deal. But so really no news for this week. So let's just get into our episode discussion of magical thinking. And so here is the official description. Quote, Lena is uncertain about using her magical abilities to help Supergirl retrieve the second totem from Nixley. William struggles to write a story on the Super Friends that makes both the heroes and Andrea happy. Meanwhile, Kelly is thrilled Esme, guest star Mila Jones, has found a new home, but things go awry when the little girl's future is put in danger. Unquote. So this was our second attempt at finding another totem, second and third almost. Nixley goes after the Hope Totem as well. So we're really into the totem thing. We are in it. And I was trying to think about the totem situation. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. So Morgan, why do you think the totem? So here was my thought. So the totems are supposed to be like a symbol of whatever the thing is, right?
Yes.
So why does the totem make people do the opposite thing? Each totem has had an adverse effect. Like I would think that the totem of humanity would make everybody like more humane.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question. That is a real puzzler because at least last week the totem was like the courage totem, right?
Yeah, and it made everybody courageous.
And it made everybody brave, like too brave.
So. Yeah.
And brave enough to like finally go and turn to your coworker and be like, actually, I hate you. And then from that and iguanas, it made the iguana brave enough to be a dragon. And from that caused chaos. And like I understood from like A to B, I understood what was happening. In this episode, I did not almost ever understand what was happening. And yeah, I don't understand why a totem of humanity would make people meaner. Like, why was it sucking out people's humanity? It was like, no, we're just going to give all the humanity to the totem bearer. It was like, why would that? And like, that was her gauntlet, was just like that
they changed the rules on us this week.
Yeah.
So now there was no gauntlet in humanity for some reason. But I wonder if they're going to be gauntlets for the other totems.
But it felt like the gauntlet was the humanity inside of you all along. But no, I like it. Like the gauntlet was that like the totem was overwhelming her with humanity. Maybe?
I guess I have so many questions about the totems. I'm now like I was there with them when it started, but now I'm starting to try to I'm falling away from the premise of a lot of this. So I'm trying to keep up with why the totem is the way it is, because totems, I had to go look up the definition of totem, because I was like, well, maybe it means something that maybe that I don't understand. And a totem, one of the definitions of totem is one that serves as an emblem or a symbol. So I would think that the totem would be a symbol of whatever the thing is that it's representing.
Yeah, like a little person for humanity.
Why not? Have a little cute
Like a cute person, like a Polly Pocket. I don't know. Yeah, it was.
I would be into that.
That would be amazing. Yeah, no, it was strange. And then it was never explained. Nothing was ever explained in this one, on like many levels. But it was never explained why her getting the totem of humanity would make everybody else like lose their humanity and would overload her with I
guess it made Nixley more like full of humanity. Like but she was like zapping it from everyone else. So she was removing their humanity but putting it in her. So I guess maybe that could make sense. But last week everybody was affected. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to follow. I'm trying to see if there's rules set up for each of these totems that are going to be for all.
Like
of
all
them.
are the rules different every time?
I'm guessing so at this point. I don't know. So so I just wanted to straight out of the gate. I have many questions about the totems. But I also, Morgan, was curious because we did see a bit of a different side of Nixley this week because of the humanity totems. So what did you think about Nixley?
Nixley was very concerned with the snow leopards, as was Beaker. Yeah, no, it was an interesting kind of turn for her that suddenly she was feeling like a lot of emotions. Not so many that like it would like her eyeliner would run. Like that is clearly continuing its creep into full-blown evil. Like every episode it gets like a little thicker, a little bit fuller, a little bit more malice in there. But you would think that like this episode maybe like when they come back to her, like the eyeliner, it's like maybe she's got like a little shimmer in there, like it's a little lighter color. She's like, I don't know, I was just feeling fixing it up. But yeah, no, I mean, I thought that was kind of an interesting concept to like, what if Nixley could feel like a lot of compassion, but it's not like she's like she can't experience compassion in any way. Like she's clearly felt betrayed by her brother who she loved. So, you know, but she was like less villainous, I guess. She didn't want to shoot the guard. Although really bonking him over the head was always an option. I'm not sure why they jumped directly to murder. And also it makes you question. It made me question, at least, like, how did she get that gun and that uniform? Did she murder the other guard or did she bonk him in the head? Because if she bonked him in the head, then there's a precedent for head bonking and she should have just gone with that. Like the Hope Totem, not to be disappointed that the villain didn't win, right? But the Hope Totem was really right there. And it feels like it was like, why are you such a quitter? Bonk him on the head and be on your way. Like the answer is right there. I like the phrase bonk, and so I'm gonna just keep using it.
You had me at the precedent for head bonking.
It opens too many questions. They're opening doors that they want shut. It's not my fault.
Well, maybe she just went to like the security guard store.
That's awesome. Like she went to it is the season. Maybe she went to Party City or the Halloween store. Maybe the site of the old Ohrenfeld building is now a Halloween store, as is every empty building eventually. And she went in there and she got security guard. What if she had walked up, but like her outfit, like his outfit was normal, but hers was like sexy security guard, so like really high boots, and like her skirt was too short, and he was like, "Wait a minute." That doesn't look regulation. And then she bonks him, and then she's done. She's in. She can get the Hope Totem. I'm just disappointed in her lack of gumption here, I think.
That's really a better plan.
Yeah.
That is disappointing. I guess I liked getting to see a little different side of Nixley, and I think the actress has done such a good job, Peta Sargent, for mixing that up and being able to show those different sides. I loved the stuff of her with the orb, like sitting there looking at it, like I guess Hamlet or something. So that I liked it, but then I was also like, oh, they broke my Nixley, because I've really enjoyed how evil she's been and how much she loves to mess stuff up. And here it was like, oh, but she's not like doing stuff now. She's just
I like when she was
sad,
so full of humanity that she was just like lying on the ground, like just moving the orb from like hand to hand, going, the snow leopards. like that was pretty funny. Although, like, I mean, is the like somebody with a lot of humanity, are they just like crushed by the state of the world? Is that what the show is trying to tell us? Like, you get too much humanity and then you just can no longer function because you think about like all the injustice. You're like, those snow leopards, and then you think about that like one little seal on the melting ice cap and you just can't go to work that day. Like, is that the theory?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Their definition of humanity in the episode, I was like, okay, I guess it kind of works with the compassionate and sympathetic part of the definition, but also humanity is the quality or state of being human. So I would have thought that maybe more of the humanity aspect of it would be more in relation to humans, not necessarily saving the snow leopards. Who are not humans. So I guess it's just how, as a writer, it's writer's choice and how you interpret that.
Well,
but
I'm
how I
sure
saw
she
it.
was like, she's probably watched some of those nature documentaries like during downtime on the ship with Mitch, and she's
Did
like,
they get Nat Geo on there?
I hope that's all they get on there. They're just watching it, going like, oh my god, so majestic.
Yeah, I didn't know what I thought exactly about compassionate, full of humanity Nixley, because I wanted her to keep causing trouble. And I guess I also have a question in relation to something that Nixley brought up, because I was reminded this week by our listener Claudia in the live tweeting, because I couldn't remember why Nixley couldn't just snap and use her imp powers. It's like, why is she like going undercover? Why is she carrying a gun? And Claudia reminded me that she has the power dampening cuff, and so she can't use her magic. I completely had forgotten about that. But one thing I did have a question about with Nixley and her ability to snap and make things happen. Why did Kara, and this is just like open to the chat if y'all have any thoughts, because I can't remember, because season 6, this last half, has been a real whirlwind for me, and I'm trying to keep up, but have they tried to send her back to the 5th dimension by saying her name backwards?
I don't think
is that an option?
It feels like it should be.
It feels like that should have been their like first go-to idea.
Yeah. Won't you die if like at the end of the show, they're like the end of the series, like the finale or the penultimate, they're like, what if we tried saying her name backwards?
Because
like they just realize it.
Because I guess one of my questions for you, Morgan, and I guess this is kind of a segue into that, is they have this whole plan of stealing the humanity from the people of National City and sending it into Nixley. And there's a little bit of a morality philosophical debate about whether or not they should do it. And then they do it anyway. So I was curious what your thoughts are about that, and how if they could just say her name backwards, they wouldn't have to do that plan.
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned that, because I watched it pretty recently, because I watched it tonight. And then I finished the episode, and then I said, I have to go back to that scene where they're arguing about the morality of this plan, because I thought that they had settled on not doing it. Honestly.
That's what I thought. And I was like, oh, Lena's learned her lesson from season 5, because there was that whole thing about her taking away the free will of the people. And this was very similar. So I was like, oh, Lena's learned something.
And then the next scene, they're telling William that they're going to do it. And I was like, oh, so clever. What they're going to do is they're going to have him like write an article, and somehow that's going to trap Nixley. Like, I don't understand it. But they're playing on a different dimension
4D chess.
as me. Yeah, 4D chess. Like, I don't get it. I don't know that it makes sense, but I'm like, this is a clever plan, probably, maybe. and then we come back from the commercial break, and I'm like, I love how resourceful these guys are being. I like how they're playing everybody. They're playing William, but they're also playing Jean. They're playing Alex because they're not in on it either. It's just a Carolina thing. They're like winking at each other. I'm like, yeah, girls, yeah. And then they do the exact thing I thought that they had agreed not to do.
Yeah.
And then I went, oh no, I've misunderstood something very basic. So I watched the whole episode, and when it got over, I literally rewound back to that scene. And I have to tell you, despite having watched it like twice, maybe almost ranging towards 3 times, it still wasn't entirely clear at the end of that scene that they had decided to do it, but just to let William write about it. So I was watching with Mike, and I went, Mike, just make sure that that you're picking up the same thing. They decided that it was morally wrong, but if they wrote about it in the newspaper and people knew about the morally sketchy decision that they made, it's all a wash. And he was like, yeah, that's what I got too. And I was like, cool. It doesn't make like a ton of sense to me, but at least I'm not crazy. So I'm glad that you brought it up before I went on my 10-minute rant about it. Because I was like, listen, like, I don't know, like, I'm tired tonight. Maybe I'm just like not paying full attention. But I feel like somehow, suddenly, I cannot follow a Supergirl episode. Like, what is happening in this thing?
Yeah, I was really confused when I first watched it. I kind of was with it in the second viewing, but that whole talk about, oh, we should totally, for the greater good, take everyone's humanity. Well, and I guess Supergirl specifies that it's just the people who had already been infected initially. They're just going to take more of their humanity away. And I was surprised. It was like Lena was like, no, we should definitely not do that. That's wrong.
Yeah, that's like a bad plan. And and Supergirl's like, Lena, hun, the ends justify the means. And Lena's like, listen, that is actually the Luthor life motto. It's on our crest. So I'm very familiar with the concept, but I think that that's probably bad. And Kara's like, but is it? And Lena's like, no, you're right, it's not. And I was like, wait, what? It's like, if they post about it on their blob, it's suddenly fine. Like by the time Williams posting this thing in Catco magazine, like the magazine production print cycle is like just instantaneous. It's gonna be like days later. People are still gonna be like, man, that whole thing where we all fought and tried to shoot each other was wild.
Yeah. Rogue Artist talks about the quote that Lena says, secrets are hard to hide in the light of day. And I get that is like a reference to, maybe Kara's secret and the secret between them and all that kind of stuff. But my question is, if you
my God, I just got it. His name is William Day.
In the light of day.
Mind blown. Never mind. I was criticizing this episode, but I just didn't understand that it had layers.
But even if you do something morally wrong, but you do it with people knowing about it in the public, does that make it less morally wrong?
Still wrong. That's the thing that I couldn't get. It's like, if I decided to I don't know, slash your tires, but then I wrote you a note and I put it on Facebook or something. I was like, I just slashed Rebecca's tires. And the reason I did it was because I was mad at her. Like, it's still not a good thing that I did. Who cares if I did it in the light of day? I still did a messed up thing. And you're very justified in being angry at me. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I feel like what they were saying is like, there are no police in National City. They've all left. We've seen that. There's no law enforcement. The DEO is gone. It's basically being run by a bunch of superheroes with no oversight whatsoever into their decisions. And so the way that they're giving back to the little guys out there is to occasionally have a magazine article, probably like a really long one too, based on how many times Andrea was flipping that thing, just explaining their thought process to the people, because people are just going to pick up that, Catco New Yorker and read like a 6,000 word piece about it.
Well, the thing that got me is that at the beginning of the episode, Alex is like, yeah, we need the public on our side when things get crazy. We need the public support. And by the end of it, they're like, let's remove all of their humanity. And I just kind of I was disappointed in them because it seemed like they were treating the public as their little pawns.
Well, they totally
can do
were.
anything with.
And we saw some of the repercussions of that, which is that a woman almost gets shot and Esme almost gets murdered by a bunch of like people during their purge or whatever was happening.
It was kind of like a purge.
Like that could have gone very wrong for the people of National City and probably still did. Like some people are probably waking up going like, how did this brick get through my window? Like again, the insurance premiums in this town are gonna be so crazy. But like the idea, like, well, let's make it worse for a little while, and then that'll make Nixley drop her totem, and then it'll be better. I think that's like a morally questionable thing that they decided to do, to the point where they had Lena be like, that's a morally questionable thing. I would know. I mostly do morally questionable things. It's kind of my whole bag here. Like you're really stepping on my territory and I don't know if I love it. But I feel like Cara and Lena have been spending a lot of time with each other because they're beginning to kind of like swap personalities in like a really fun way. Like when you've been hanging out with somebody and you find that you're taking on like some like words that they commonly say, and you're like, I don't usually say like coolio, but my friend does. And Cara's like, I don't usually think that maybe we should use people as guinea pigs, but I don't know. Lena's got some good concepts. While Lena's like, maybe some things I've done in the past have been wrong. Maybe we shouldn't keep doing them.
Yeah, if Lena Luthor is telling you, hey, that's maybe the bad thing to do, that maybe is your signal to not do it. And so it was hard for me with Supergirl in this episode because at the end, she and Lena are just like eating pot stickers, hanging out at the tower like nothing happened. And they're like, well, I guess some people are going to be okay with what we did and some people aren't. And I guess it's just good that it's out in the open. And I kept thinking, if I was one of those people in National City, I would be so ticked off. You like, played God with my life. That's like, essentially what they did.
Like some people are gonna be really happy that we saved the day, and some people are gonna have some questions about the fact that they almost killed a child. And I don't, guys, and they're just like, pot sticker high five.
Yeah, they acted like it was no big deal. It was the weirdest thing. It was like psychopathic. It was, and maybe I shouldn't say that. That's going to get me in trouble with the internet. But it just was. It was so strange that they didn't even like. It wasn't a thing that weighed on them. It was just something they did, and whatever. It's the end of the episode.
But like what to me is that they underline that this was like a kind of a morally questionable great choice that they were making. Because Lena was like, hey, as the maker of many morally questionable great choices, I don't think that we should do this. This is like categorically bad. And Supergirl was like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I kind of agree. Let's do it. And then it was kind of mind blowing. Like they never took you from point A to point B on their like thought process to where they got to the fact that like, I could even see it if it was like, Cara said something like, you know what? Yes, this is going to hurt some people and I'm not happy with that. But like the repercussions of leaving Nixley out there are so severe, right? That like we have to do this, and like bringing Lena around on that. But instead they were just like, what if we just had William write an article about it? Morality solved.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Yeah, I wondered if it was just me that was like, oh, I don't People in the chat, I don't know if y'all can hear the thunder clapping
I just
outside
heard that
this room. It is storming cats and dogs over here. But the people in the chat are saying that Nixley does have to say her name backwards. So that is what they would have to do to trick her into doing that. But it's
like
weird.
they
It's
haven't
weird
even
to me
tried,
that
though.
they haven't even tried. Like, that would be the first thing I would at least try or even mention. Even if they can't do it with her for some reason, I would still be writing that name backwards and try to see if I can figure out how to get her to do it.
At least have them try it once and it doesn't work. And then
And
we
it
don't have to
fails.
question. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
like, well, why didn't they try this very obvious thing that always works with, Mixie? So yeah, it's very, very confusing.
I don't know. I'm trying to just go with the story, but there are some things where I'm like, but what? Did they, like, I forgot about the power dampening cuff, and I'm just like, are there other things that I'm forgetting? Maybe they did mention it and I don't remember.
Well, it's Mike had asked me. He was like, "Wait, why is she like dressed up like a guard? Doesn't she have magic?" And I was like, "Maybe." I was like, "I think she's got a power dampening cuff on. I don't remember how she got that on, but I feel like it's true."
Yeah, I think they got it on when they tried to fool her with the Mixie decoy with Dreamer. That was a couple of episodes ago. Mixie in the Middle, I think was what it was called.
The giant cat episode.
Yes, that seems right. So that was something that they did do. So that was on me. That's like a viewer comprehension error that I had forgotten about the power dampening cuff. So now that I know that, it makes more sense to me why she's doing all of that.
Yeah, it's just crazy. There's so much happening. Like, I don't like the feeling of like being halfway through a Supergirl episode and being like, what is happening? What am I watching? Why can't I follow this? And this one was definitely a lot of that. Like, I was just like, wait, excuse me, what? What's happening? Why did they make that decision? Like, the fact that I had to rewatch a scene and it wasn't just like immediately clear, I think is like not a good sign for the composition or the writing of the episode.
Yeah, there was a lot of them having to explain things in the episode. So that was tough to follow. You had to really pay attention. So yeah, I guess we did talk about it a little bit, but we did see Lena's magic progress a little bit. She did some more magic in this episode.
She sure did.
So what did you think about Lena and her little witchy lab at the tower?
Oh, I loved when she created a confusion with Nia, so she didn't know her left from her right. That was really funny. I like how she's like, magic is tricky. It's not like science. It's like, yeah, because it's all made up. So that's first. This whole Lena being magic storyline continues to just be such a choice that they're making this close to the end. It's such a weird decision to be like, yeah, and then we're gonna suddenly give this character magical powers, like, 10 episodes from the series finale. Why? But yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was really funny, that scene at the end where they're like, she does the spell correctly and like the magic comes up and her and William both look up like, was shot so funny. I could not stop laughing.
Well, it was a weird choice because what they were doing was removing the humanity of people and sending
they're so
it
excited
into
about it.
They're like in awe. They're like, wow, look at what we did. That was a strange direction choice there. Yeah, so I guess it's good that Lena's kind of getting to where she can at least make magic happen. She's at least, magical things are happening when she tries them, so that's good. I did have some questions about the lab in the tower because I don't know if I guess they're Bunsen burners or something, but there was like fire in the tower. Like it was like on. Like, was she using the fire? Was it cold in there? What?
I don't know.
What was she doing? So I was very
also,
curious.
why was there like, they just had like a huge bonfire was like how they I was like, where are they? Are they allowed to have just an open fire out there? Is that like some sort of safety concern?
Oh, you mean at the botanical gardens when they were doing
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to be able to do that in a botanical garden.
I don't think so either.
Situation. I don't think that is kosher. And so Lena though was having trouble because she did do it incorrectly the first time. And then William Day comes in to give her a pep talk. So Morgan, what did you think about William's advice to Lena?
Well, I like that it revolved around baking because I've been watching a lot of Great British Bake Off, and you know what? You have to really put your heart into it. Um, Processed ingredients are never going to be as good as the fresh, real things. He's right about that. And you want to make sure that it's not claggy. That's what they say on the show all the time. You don't want it to be claggy. You don't want it to be claggy.
Okay.
Definitely not.
I don't know
And
what claggy means.
it can't have a soggy bottom.
Okay,
So-
no soggy bottoms. Okay.
So I thought that was all like very solid advice. He's like, listen, Lena, this is important. No soggy bottoms. Nobody wants to eat that. It's not going to win any prizes. And my girlfriend, who is definitely real and who loves to bake and who is real, she just lives in Canada, Lena. She lives in Canada. You just went at Canada, you know. Anyway, she is a great baker. Like, I know I don't bring in the stuff that she bakes. It's because I eat it so fast because she's totally real. I love how fast they dropped his girlfriend, like even mentioning her at all. But what I really love about this is the character progression of William into just a person who cares a lot about baking. Like, I understand that there was some background about his dad and his family, and it was like pretty affecting, but I'm just really obsessed with how much he loves baking. Like that has become his like one character attribute. And I like it. I hope that they lean into it harder, actually. I hope it's like all he ever talks about. And whenever he has to give somebody a pep talk, he's like, this is that time I had to make muffins. And they're like, oh, William, if we have to hear about your muffins one more time, I swear.
If you're going to tell me about the muffins, you better bring some in.
You better bring some muffins.
That's what
He's
I
like. Always talking about baking, but he never brings any baked goods. Like, I feel like that's kind of William's vibe. Like, he's like, oh my God, I just made the most amazing quiche. And they're like, well, where is it? Oh, just me and my girlfriend who's totally real. We just had it. We had it. We shared it. I took a picture on Instagram. Did you see it? Oh, no, you don't see it? Oh, it was in stories. It was over 24 hours ago. I guess you just don't check my stories enough. Like, he never posted it to stories. He never made that quiche.
Yeah, I mean, I did like that scene. I think Stasnier, is actually a really good actor.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
They don't give him anything to do on this show, really, but
he actually sold that baking story for me. I was like, oh, I get it. I feel an emotional connection to your father, William. I'm there with you. So I'm just disappointed that the show never really gave him more meaty material like this, because he clearly can deliver it, but they haven't really done much with him. So I was glad to at least see that he could have a really nice scene like that and affect another character for the better. So I thought that was good.
So speaking about William and Lena and things in this episode that they seem to establish in one scene and throw out the window in another, and that don't make sense. In the beginning of the episode, from what I got was that they were like, we're going to let William in bed with us, which LOL is a terrible idea. And they're like, we want people to see, we're going to get our message out into the media, and somehow that's going to make some sort of effect on things.
Yeah, we got to get that public support.
Yeah, like, okay, we're going to get the Super Friends talking points out there. Like, are the public turning on them or something? Because we're not seeing that in the actual show. So this decision to let him in bed seems nonsensical, but okay, let's put that aside. They decide to make this decision. Carl looks Lena in the face, looks her in the eye, and she's like, you're our secret weapon because of the magic. Lena's like, totally following that. Super cool. And she's like, so we can't let anyone see you here. Like, whatever you do, William cannot see you here because of magic and things. And Lena's like, got it, totally solid. And then 2 scenes later, she's in the tower and William just waltzes right in. Nobody has any problem with it. And then she's like, hey, I do magic. And I was like, I'm sorry. What is happening? Did I misunderstand something?
Well, I guess it was because they set some ground rules with William that he could not jeopardize their mission, that he could not go after their secret identities. And so there were some ground rules that were set. So maybe part of that negotiation was that he couldn't write about. Well, later on, now that I think about it, he did want to talk about the magic relating to Nixley.
Yeah. Well,
So even if they set that ground rule early on, he went back and renegotiated.
And it just from a narrative. So taking myself out of the story and then just like from a higher narrative perspective, why would you have the characters say it's really important that this character doesn't see this character here? And then without any kind of like, I don't know, without anything, the character just casually walks in, sees the character he's never supposed to see. No one makes a big deal out of it, like it wasn't previously established that that would be a bad thing. And then the episode just goes on. It would be like you suck Chekhov's gun and then somebody shoots somebody with the gun, but then everybody just kind of walks away like it's not a big deal. Like I was like, why would you set this up as being like a dramatic conflict and then just act like it was like any old day? Like do one or the other. You can't have it both ways. Like what? It doesn't even make sense from a storytelling perspective. I don't understand.
Electra WWF has some thoughts and possible explanations, saying that William was allowed to talk about the magic, but not that Lena could do magic. And he wasn't allowed to say Lena Luthor has magic. So I guess those are maybe some explanations.
Okay. That makes it make a little bit more sense. Like I do remember that scene where they're like, well, you can say some things, but you can't say other things. And it's like, or he could just not be there. That's I guess for me, this storyline just makes so little sense that like my mind is like just trying to grasp any reason why this is like logical or like a thing that they would do. Is just like to have William around. Like why would they do this?
Well, and I mean, they already have two other reporters who could write stories like this.
I know.
But of course, that would be unethical for them to do so.
But they've been unethical this whole time.
I mean, what would be the change?
Carr's entire career is based on basically being unethical. Like, if you're going to go down the ethical journalism wormhole, like it's not going to look good for Superman and Supergirl. Like you just have to put that aside for the most part.
Well, I guess this whole storyline, do you feel like the William thing is just getting us to the point where William finds out Kara's identity?
Oh yeah,
I think that's where that's heading.
I think so, and he becomes. Do they have enough time to give him a superpower? Is the real question.
No, not even just a superpower. Can they get him in a suit?
I think. How many episodes in this season?
20.
Ooh, 6 episodes feels like enough. What if he becomes Baking Man and he just like throws pies at people like an old timey comedian, like, hey, and like just like pie right in the face, and he's like,
he did mention that his father baked pies.
See, it's set up. He's gonna be the baker.
It's foreshadowing.
And he's gonna love it. And his weapon's gonna be like a rolling pin that he's gonna like smack.
Can he wear a chef's hat?
A chef's hat, yeah, but the chef's hat's there's gonna be like things in the chef hat, like when you go to hibachi and they throw the egg in there, but like, that's what's going to happen with him. I think we've got his whole arc really mapped out. I think it's going to be beautiful and heartbreaking, and I can't wait. Speaking about William and his powers, can we talk for a second? So they're in the botanical garden. I'm sorry, I have so many complaints about this episode. They're in the botanical garden because Leno's like my mother, I must sniff a few branches to really be able to do the magic correctly. So Lena's off in a corner, like sniffing an like an oak tree or whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody starts attacking. And William goes, "Don't worry, I've got this." And then Supergirl just lets him get it. Was she just trying to make him feel better about himself? Like, what was Mike turned to me and said, he doesn't need to do anything. She's Supergirl. And I agree. I agree. Listen, it's great that he got his fight scene in. I'm really happy for him. But there's no reason why a human journalist man would need to do anything with Supergirl there. It just doesn't make sense. And it's one of the things that kind of drives me crazy about this show, because it's called Supergirl and she's the most powerful. And yet, like 9 times out of 10, we're just watching the Super Friends battle. And now we're just watching the Super Friends, like, embedded journalist pal do some one-on-one combat.
See, Morgan, the problem here is that Supergirl has a lot of abilities that cost a lot of money in CGI. And when you have multiple superheroes on the show that also have CGI effects, like being able to phase through a driver's side window of a vehicle, you can't spend all the money doing the heat vision and the flight and all the things. But I agree. He does tell Supergirl to protect Lena. So that was his job.
But they were like,
but then also, why is William giving Supergirl instructions on how to handle the scene? Shouldn't she be the one to be like, hey, William, I need help. Can you fight those guys out for me?
But also, she is Supergirl and they are just people. She has super speed and the ability to just bonk people on the heads very gently.
Why aren't people bonking people on the head
Why is
all the
nobody
time?
bonking anybody on the head in this episode? All the problems could be like, the solution is just bonks on the head. And I don't understand why no one would do it. But like the fact that he's like, you have to watch Lena and I'm going to like do combat with these human beings is like, she should have been like, no, I'm good. Like, I can get this done in 30 seconds and then we're all just cool. I feel like I would have like give that scene a mulligan if like they had like panned over to Car and she was just like, go on.
Yeah.
You go. I know that you've been like wanting to for a while and like you go get him, William. Your girlfriend's totally real.
Well, he did say he was a war correspondent, so I guess that gave him some, cred to
Was
fight
he
some
like
of those guys.
a war correspondent that also had to like learn MMA or something? Like I didn't realize like war correspondents were. It was like you had to become like a trained fighter.
I guess he's capable in his own way to do things, which I don't mind showing the human characters being able to take care of themselves. I think that's very important. Supergirl shouldn't be able to do everything for us. But when Supergirl's not doing anything and this human character is fighting these supercharged other human characters who are like really wanting to kill somebody, you would think that Supergirl would step in. I don't know. They tried to justify it because she needed to protect Lena, but nothing happened to Lena. It wasn't like somebody came to try to do something to Lena.
Lena wasn't very far away is the thing. And again, my speeding bonking thing, which could have happened off screen, would have just taken care of it very easily. It wasn't like these were like alien threats that like Supergirl had to really like tussle with. It was like a couple of people who got mad. One of those ladies was just like a gardener. Like, I don't.
She might have had a gardening tool on her though. That could have been dangerous.
She could have had one of those little rakes.
Yeah, she could have bonked somebody.
She could have bonked somebody with that little rake.
That would have been the perfect bonking tool. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes they do things with Supergirl that I'm like, she could have done that. I don't know. So I guess one thing that we could talk about before we end our discussion is that they did make some forward progress on the Esme front. So we've met little Esme for a couple of episodes. We're kind of involved with her story, what's going on, and Kelly's really involved in her character. So what did you think about Esme and how she ends up in this episode?
Well, I liked seeing Esme again. She was obviously all of our favorites because she's sassy. And I liked getting to see Kelly kind of like doing her job and placing one of the kids with her social work. And then, the story of Esme was kind of was sad actually. Like her foster parents were like go out, little girl, and fight those people. You have the fire breath or whatever. And she was like, I don't think I do. Props to Esme for realizing the limits of her own abilities. Like, excuse me, wait, I don't think I'm ready for this. I object. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it was going the direction that like a lot of people had sort of figured out that it might go, which is that Esme is probably going to get adopted by Alex and Kelly. It looked like that was the way that it was going at the end of the episode. I kind of liked that the Alex and Kelly like looking at each other and kind of like the unspoken communication between the two of them, like, well, we don't want to put this little girl in that van and like ship her back off, and she's already pretty down. And also, I completely forgot until just this moment, but it turns out I really want kids. And I've forgotten about adopting, honestly, just forgotten about it. I've been busy.
Do you remember when we talked about it in season 4? We definitely did that time, I think.
Yeah. She's like, totally listen, I spaced that I wanted children. But listen, when they're just going to drop one in your lap like this, maybe we just take this one.
Yeah.
I mean, when life gives you children without homes. So I did like that scene with Alex and Kelly where they're like, I don't know, should we adopt her? I think we should adopt her. And I like the idea of like they established who she was, and we saw it in another episode, and then we saw her story here, and we care about Esme, and so I like the idea that they're not just, frankly, I wasn't sure that they were ever going back to Alex wanting kids because this show. But since they are, I like that they like the kid that they're going to give her most likely is like a previously established character who they've already gotten us to care about. And so, yeah, I like that storyline. I mean, I feel like honestly, they had to go back to it. It was the reason Alex and Maggie broke up. And I think a lot of people would have been mad if they never returned to it. Just all sides, Alex fans, Sandverse fans, like Alex and Kelly fans, everybody would have just been like, wait a minute, I thought you wanted kids. So they're running out of time to do that. And so this feels like a really good way to kind of set her up with a kid and I like the idea that that Esme has power. She's an alien, which kind of feels like it throws back to Alex's relationship with Kara and how she can bring all the things that she learned over the years about dealing with Kara and her abilities and be able to use those when parenting little Esme. So I liked all of that stuff.
Yeah, and I hope that Aunt Kara can help train her to do some things with her powers, because Kara would understand what it's like to be an alien child in the world with abilities. So I would love to see Kara step in and kind of also mentor this little Esme, adorable child. And so what did you make of her powers? Because she breathes the fire, but she's breathing the fire like the man breathes fire at her, and she sort of breathes fire back at him. So what do you make of that?
I assume it's kind of like she can take powers in and throw them back out, but like if it's something that either something I don't know if is it something that she sees that she can just mimic, or is it that like if you throw something at her like power wise, she can throw it back at you and like kind of take that energy and disperse it out. I'm not really sure yet like what exactly her powers are, but they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm with Electra WWF. I think Esme has some sort of mimic powers. I think that's probably, but it would be interesting to know the rules of it. Like you're talking about, is it something that has to be affecting her, or can she just stand next to Supergirl and have heat vision? Like how does that work? So I would like to know more about. I don't know if they'll give us more details on Esme's powers, but I would like to know more. I did think it was really awful what her foster parents did, because they were foster parents. Did she get formally adopted, or were they foster parents?
I think they were just foster parents.
Yeah.
I think it was like a foster placement.
Dana and Joe, Boy, they were the worst.
They were the worst.
They were like, "Here, small child, go out here and fight these people for us." Oh, geez.
Yeah, even if she did have powers that she could control, I don't think you want to throw out like a 6-year-old and be like, "All right, save us, honey."
That is Dana and Joe.
Dana and Joe,
They're the worst.
who are you even?
I did like the short moment where Esme is out there and she's scared and these people are coming to attack her, and the camera stays on a close up of Esme's face, and all you hear are like people fighting, and it's Sentinel and the Guardian. Well, Guardian, not the Guardian, coming up, to save her. I thought that was a really nice moment to show their heroism and to show that they were there willing to protect. They were sort of the inverse of Dana and Joe. So I liked the way they did that.
I also really loved that scene earlier in the episode where Alex and Guardian are fighting and just like having a conversation about their day. Like, oh my God, it's so great about Esme. And she's like, she made me a little bracelet. She's like, oh, that's so cute. Like while they're fighting, I thought that was really funny. Like I like that they're giving Alex and Kelly a little bit more like fun in their relationship. I feel like their relationship has kind of been very serious and very like thoughtful and very like, this is how I'm feeling and how are you feeling, and like a lot of that, and getting to see the more fun side of Alex and Kelly in like the last half of the season, I think has been really fun. I hope that they keep that kind of stuff up.
Yeah, sometimes I think that can be too much, though. Like you can take me out of the stakes that are happening with that, but I think they did. I think they found a decent balance in this week's episode. Looks like Claudia has a speculation about Esme, saying maybe Esme is a shield, so maybe she has shield powers that would fit in with Guardian.
That would
with Guardian shield, so that could make lots of sense. So I guess we'll see in coming episodes what happens to little Esme with Kelly and Alex, and see how that progresses. So that should be fun. I know that like Kelly and Alex are the real people she's supposed to be with, but I would really love to see Esme with Kara. Like that's one of the things I would really, really like to see. So I'm hoping they'll introduce her to Kara.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because she's basically, to your point, she's basically a little Kara. So I would love to see them have a connection.
I think that's the nice thing about them not waiting until like the series finale to finally have Alex adopt, is that we'll get to see, Esme with Alex. We'll get to see Alex trying to figure out how to be like a mom and how how her and Kelly relate to Esme. And then we'll get to see like Auntie Kara, which will be really fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to overall thoughts. So what were your overall thoughts of this episode, Magical? Thank you.
I didn't like this one. I didn't care for this one, if I'm being honest.
You should always be honest with Supergirl Radio.
It was really hard to like. Any episode where I have to like rewatch a scene because I was like, did I misunderstand that? Like makes me like unhappy because I should understand it like the first way through. I wasn't on my phone or anything. I wasn't like scrolling Twitter while I was watching. I was like paying full attention. I just like was not. Like it didn't make logical sense what was happening. Like the Alex and Kelly stuff was good with Esme, and I guess William is embedded. That's a thing that's happening. I've accepted it. I like that he's into baking, so that was fun. The Kara and Lena scenes were good, even except the one scene where I was like, I don't understand what's happening. But besides that,
does that make it good though? Did you say
that scene wasn't good? That scene wasn't good.
Okay.
No, because I was like, I don't care for this one. But like the earlier scenes where like Kara's like, go Magic Lena, and Lena was like, I don't know about this, and then like the scene at the end where they like were eating pot stickers and hanging out, that was nice. But everything else was a little bit of a mess. Like this one just felt like it was all over the place to me, which is a shame. Like this close to the end, I want them to be like really hitting all cylinders,
just knocking it out of the park.
Not this one for
driving
me.
Home the excitement towards the end.
Exactly.
I'm kind of the same way. There were moments of this episode that I liked, but I was mostly confused by some of it, and disappointed by some of the character choices in this episode. But there were some things I liked, like the camera work. I liked the opening shot of Alex taking the perspective of like the Jenga game where Alex was taking the Jenga piece out. I liked the transition from Kara into Nixley when they had that connection. And just to point, get to Claudia's point here, saying that Kara had a weird bun on her head, and it just hit me that Nixley's hair was styled the same during her Courage Gauntlet, shows how they are subconsciously linked. And I agree. That's one of the things I thought about too. So I really like that Nixley-Kara connection. I think that's a really cool aspect of their dynamic that they are continuing to do. So I like that. But some of the plot choices and the totem thing, I don't know. Part of this episode, I was kind of bored. I was like, I'm kind of like, I think this is our second week of totems. I'm already kind of over the totems. Like I
know.
I don't really want it. They were like, oh, we got to do the dream totem next. And I was like, do we have to do another totem?
Cool.
I was thinking like, what if we just did 3 totems instead of 7? 7 seems like a lot.
7 is too many.
So it was a weird mix for me. I liked some things, was disappointed by some things, and was bored by the rest of it. So yeah, this was kind of a mixed bag for me as well. Well, I guess that's going to do it for our discussion, but let's find out what our listeners had to say about magical thinking.
At KKyle1 said, I have no idea what it was about William being there that changed Lena's mind. That little girl that plays Esme is freaking adorable. Pretty good episode overall, but William should have been home long ago. Just say nay. At CM Gutierrez 74 said, upon rewatch, I really love this episode. I was no longer distracted by the many details and could actually focus on the plot lines. Like last week, there were no wasted scenes and each added to the overall story. Also, I unexpectedly liked William and Esme's story. At Kaya _Matsui said, why is William here? Having a reporter in the tower is the dumbest idea ever. # no more baking stories. This episode was weird. I don't know if I liked it or not, but Lena working with Kara and being a valuable member of the team was great. Nixley was hilarious. I love this actress. Take 3. _weird girl said, I guess this was a weird and confusing episode. I might need to rewatch, but I guess it is going to be like this for the whole totem storyline. So I'll try to stay with the positive side. Esme is cute. The scene with Kara and the bullets was cool, and Nixley was hilarious. At Lido Large said, maybe it's because I know it's ending, but I feel emotionally detached from each new episode. They're never actually about Kara anymore. I love everyone else, but I'm just getting bored. Great William episode, I guess. 2 years too late. I'm getting Lost final season vibes.
I wish.
Quick try to wrap up storylines or make stuff work that didn't or doesn't. Alex finally adopts. Yay. Feels rushed, and Kara deserved a better send-off and show overall. Kind of feeling over it before it's even over.
I know Lido meant it as a negative to say Lost final season vibes, but I would love it if Supergirl had Lost final season vibes.
If only. that was my least favorite season of that show, and seriously, if only. At SL Fricky said, do you think there was a lot of trial and error behind Kara learning how to throw a bullet at someone without killing them? Also, let's hope finally adopting a kid isn't Alex's equivalent of being a cop 3 days from retirement. Anyone else get Comic Corps vibes that from that one scene? I think that's just because Lena just tends to have like chemistry with everybody that she interacts with. Like, I noticed that in her scene with Nia. I was like, is Lena, you gotta pull that back. You can't be flirting with everybody. It's too much. It's too much, Lena.
Can we just pause to talk about Kara in the bullets, Supergirl in the bullets? Because I legit thought she threw that back to shoot that guy in the head.
Me too. I did not like that scene at all.
I did not like that either.
Mike and I were like, did she just almost murder that guy?
That they show it bounce off his head. But how did she know it was gonna, like, the force of her strength should have thrown that bullet through that man's body? That makes no sense
The
to
thing
me.
about trial and error is definitely correct. Like, she must have worked so hard to be able to flick a bullet with just the amount of pressure that would just bonk him gently in the forehead and not just completely murder him.
I guess she had practice in season 1 when she was Red K-Kara and she was flicking like the nuts or whatever on the table, like Superman 3. Maybe she has learned how to do that. But for a second, I was like, oh my gosh, did she just kill that guy?
Like, why would that ever be necessary, though? Like, again, bonking exists, Cara. Bonking exists. No one wants to bonk in this episode, and I'm offended. At Super Ollie 74 said, it was a good episode. What I'm trying to understand is, where are all the cops while all the rioting is happening down at the arena? No one else can help other than the Super Friends? Esme is so cute. Looks like Alex is going to be a mother after all.
So the episode did have a voiceover that says that the police warned people to stay away from Midtown as the chaos was interrupting. And there's also a mention of the NCPD's CompStat technology. Dreamer uses it. She patches into the CompStat technology to track real-time crime incidents. So I guess there are police around. There's only mention of them, but we don't see them doing anything.
Would have been great to see at least like one police officer, just to know that they're like in the mix somewhere. They're like, you know what? Supergirl's got this. I'm gonna take a nap. At Valkyrie88A said, I don't know. It was okay. I'm really disappointed that Brainy wasn't there. Lena breaking Nia's brain was probably the best moment of the episode.
Why do you think that they they don't have certain characters in? Like, they can't have all the characters in at the same time. Is it like a budget thing? Is it we've got to give Jesse Rath the week off?
I don't know. Yeah, I
don't know why they do that.
Some, like, occasionally Nia will just dip out to like go take a nap for half of an episode, or
I would understand if one of them was like Ozzy Tespy, where she was writing the episode, or maybe one of them was directing it or something. I would understand that, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it seemed like Brainy needed to be missing.
It did. At Rog Vortex 58 said, Esme Danvers Olsen actually has a nice ring to it. Love the Danson moms and their new daughter.
Oh, the chat saying it was a COVID protocol thing.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, so I guess he had to be out of it. That's weird.
That is weird. At Aqua Animus said, it stunk without Brainy. At Willie Belcher 6 said, when was the last time Cara and Alex had a one-on-one scene?
It's been a while.
It has been a while. I want a Cara and Alex couch scene. That's what I want. And then finally, at Anthony, Nia said, entertaining, but the writers sure love to make a simple story complicated. It's a whirlwind of exposition. Questions. Will we get more of William's metaphorical baking backstories?
I hope so.
I hope so. Where's the NCPD? Was Brainy absent because he's searching for Megan? Now AWOL for 11 episodes. Doesn't anybody care about Megan? Where is Megan?
I'm glad we have somebody keeping track of Megan Watch.
Megan Watch. Yeah, we should start that like we used to have Snap Watch.
So I'm glad we have Megan Watch going on. Well, we have an email from Julia who writes, quote, am I crazy? Have the last 3 episodes had a cohesive plot and they were easy to watch? Why is the back end of the season so good? I'm glad Julia's enjoying it. That's good to hear. Julia says these are her thoughts. Number 1, William really asked, where did you guys get the money for this tower setup? And Nia just deflected with a joke about dry cleaning because no one, not even the Super Friends, know the real answer, which is that John probably embezzled DEO money for decades in a secret slush fund. Yeah, that's a great question. How do they fund the tower? They have a lot of monitors and technology. And it looks like they have a lot of rooms. There'd be a big power bill, I think.
Yeah, a huge power bill.
Yeah. So how do they fund it? So that's a great question. All right. So Julia's second thought, lots of great dancing moments. It was so cute that they were casually beating up dudes while supporting each other emotionally like a healthy couple should. And holy crap, they had a whole conversation about becoming foster parents by looking at each other. And I just died because it was so adorable. Number 3, it's interesting to see Lena struggle with her magic. As a literal genius with movie star good looks and more money than God, she's probably not used to getting what she sets out to do. It's an opportunity for character growth, even if the magical pedigree is more of a plot device than a subplot that organically developed. Number 4, Kara is scared and it shows. It must be weird for her to feel so powerless. It's one of the reasons I really liked the Psy episode from season 3. I love it and I can't wait to see how she deals with it this time. And number 5, Julia says it was Brainy's turn to be MIA for the episode, so Nicole really got to shine on her own during her comedic scenes. I'm hoping the Dream Totem episode continues the trend of balancing serious character development and lighthearted comic relief, so we get a break from all the doom and gloom, unquote.
Patty wrote in to say, we all criticized the lady with the iguana in the museum last week, but we don't know if the iguana was an emotional support animal, so we should not judge. About this week's episode, I don't know what to think. It wasn't bad, but it was not that good either. William being in the tower makes no sense. Why would they let a journalist in their secret lair? Besides, Nia and Kara are journalists, so why bring someone from the outside? Also, didn't all the reporters at Catco have a non-compete clause in their contract? So William's threat to Andrea to leave for the Daily Planet makes no sense. I don't see why he is still in the show. There's no reason for him to be here.
I assume they will be doing something with him.
Something.
Mark wrote in with some thoughts saying, hi, ladies. A few thoughts on this week's episode. Kara flying into her apartment, which still exists. Yay! To find her friends prepping game night seems so hopeless. Nixley in her head is really getting to her. I'm very glad Kara had a lot to do this week. Brainy exiled or jaxed to the Legion cruiser? Were they at the point where they had to trim one case member every episode to save money? Was a broadcast network TV show digging through the famed Danvers couch looking for spare change to produce episodes? Speaking of the couch, did the Super Friends rearrange Kara's furniture for game night? Shouldn't the couch have been in the shot? And where are all her half-finished paintings that we've never seen her work on in 6 years? Yeah, she's apparently an artist, but we've never seen her do it. Mark continues, shouldn't Kara have been more careful hanging out in the tower in her civvies, given that William might be around? And I have to admit, in that last scene with Kara and Lena, my thought was, pot sticker betrayal in all caps. Should have been Alex. And he just put a bullet point of the inevitability of Esme. Also, regarding all of the conditions, etc., the Super Friends put on William, while many of them seemed reasonable. I have to wonder if you should have a journalism ethics consultant to weigh in on the appropriateness of it all. And then he quotes, we want to see your articles before you publish them. Seemed particularly sketchy to me. Yeah, I guess.
The seeing the articles before you publish them is a little sketch, but it's not like they were like, we want to have final, approval. We're going to give you edits that you have to take. So one assumes that he could just be like, no, that's staying in. But one could completely eliminate this issue entirely by not having him there at all.
Yeah,
that's such an option.
You could just not have him there. Nicole says the inevitability of Esme is a band I would listen to. Yeah, it sounds like a great band name. And then Patchua says William's just horsing around.
That's true.
So there's that.
Emma sent us an email writing, I loved seeing Nixley overwhelmed with compassion and empathy, in part because it seemed almost like a peek into who she was before the betrayal, who she could have been. Plus, her short monologue about saving the planet was great, especially the line about saving the snow leopards from extinction. Just the delivery alone was a chef's kiss. The side plot of Esme's foster parents basically using her as an emergency defense system was interesting when contrasted to how the Danverses behaved when raising Kara. You have the parallel of human families taking in an alien orphan with incredible powers, but where the Danvers family protected Kara even though she was superpowered, Esme's foster parents tried to exploit her because she was superpowered. It makes Alex and Kelly's decision to take her in all the more heartwarming because Alex is following in her parents' footsteps while also completely staying true to her own character, so much of which has been defined by her status as the protector and guardian of a scared little alien girl. Just so long as the writers don't pull a Jeremiah on poor Kelly. What if Kelly just decided to go take a hike in the woods and we never saw her again. She's
And
just like in a bush somewhere.
and Alex is like, I'm never gonna stop looking for you, Kelly.
And then the next episode, she never speaks about Kelly again. Lena and her learning magic scenes were both funny and heartwarming. As soon as she decided to go collect ingredients herself, I was chanting at my TV, "Sniff those branches, Lena." I do like how they're showing her struggling to learn/harness her new powers, as opposed to it all happening off screen and just making her able to do whatever the plot demands. They're handling this coming into your power storyline so much better than some others. Cough, dreamer, cough. Lena arguing against the plan of draining more humanity from people to overwhelm, defeat Nixley was such a nice demonstration of her character development. As soon as Kara said it was for the greater good, you just knew Lena would not be on board after the whole no cherry thing. She comes so far from trying to brainwash humanity for its own good. And then it's like a smiley face with like a teardrop because she's proud. That said, the resolution felt off. They still ended up doing the bad thing for the right reasons, but somehow it was okay because William got to report about it. I understand they were trying to make a transparency argument, but it didn't hit right for me. I'm glad that I'm also not the only one who like you and I, okay. That makes me feel so much better. I felt like I was going crazy, honestly, watching that episode. I was like, this doesn't make sense. It does not make sense for everybody. And then the email concludes with random additional thoughts. Game night was with all the Super Friends is back. Kara cackling like Nixley made me cackle, and Lena accidentally breaking Nia's brain was hilarious.
Yeah, that was really funny with Kara and Nixley. Daryl wrote in to share some thoughts, writing, quote, "This whole thing about the Super Friends caring about public perception feels entirely out of left field, and I have no idea how the writers came up with this idea. Why do they care so much about being accused of operating in secret? That was the DEO's whole deal, and the Super Friends never had a problem with it. If they care so much about how the public views them, are we going to get the civilians' point of view about them in National City? That would be great, Daryl, if that's what they were going to do. But I don't. I'm not counting on it." Daryl goes on to say, "Quote: I'm not connecting to the idea of Nixley being this huge threat. They talk about her like she's a giant overhanging threat, but I don't pick that up from her scenes. Is it really this hard to go back to the fifth dimension? The villain of the episode wasn't Nixley; it was Esme's foster mother. What were they? What were their names?
Donna?
I've already forgotten.
Was
those
it Donna?
horrible? No, it was Dana and Joe.
Dana,
and so he's talking about Dana here. It was Esme's foster mother, Dana. No one has ever done anything that awful on Supergirl before. It was pretty bad.
It was really bad.
Little girl out there. I can't believe we didn't get to see Alex or Kelly confront her. It's about time we see Alex on the road to adoption again because it's been too long, and they need to have her adopt so her breakup with Maggie won't seem so meaningless." Unquote. Yeah, I think now we've justified it. Now we've gotten to that point.
Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Alex has remembered that she wants to adopt.
She wanted to be a mom.
She never remembered Jeremiah, but at least she remembered she wanted to be a mom.
This is a pretty big deal.
That's her character arc, is remembering things. Finally doing it.
Which was tough in season 4 because she had her mind wiped. So she couldn't.
It's been rough for Alex.
Well, Morgan, do you want to do some snap judgments?
I think we should.
All right. In the game of snap judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended, and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay, so our first set of snap judgments are from at Kaya_Matsui. Who is the worst boss, Andrea or Nixley?
Andrea. At least Nixley is somewhat supportive of her employee. But Andrea is just the worst. I would hate working for Andrea.
Andrea is the worst because I also don't she doesn't realize that if you're bossing around a person who can get you something, they can just go get another job. Apparently William Day is a well-respected war correspondent. He doesn't have to sit around and take Andrea's mean digs and moving him next to the bathroom. He can just go get another job.
Yeah, people in the chat are not feeling Andrea. And William was also really surprised that she was hacking into his computer to read his story. And I was like, do you not remember season 5? She was over this whole tech company that tried to mind control the world. Why
The
is this
whole world.
Why is this a surprise to you?
Does crisis happen like once every 5 episodes on this show, and that everybody just forgets about what happened?
Nobody remembers.
Oh, geez, Louise. Okay, who was the best boss, Lena or Jean?
Lena had a standard back when she was Kara's boss. She was like, you need to come to work. So I respected that about Lena. She was like, you're gonna have to be here. You're gonna have to be doing your work. You're gonna have to come to your meetings. So I think she stays on top of it.
I'm gonna have to go with John because I like how he kind of took everybody under his wing. Did some of his employees die? Yes, they did. But but he was really supportive. He was like a great space dad. And so I'm giving him props, even though they didn't all make it. And his whole organization crumbled into the ground. And I'm now understanding that Lena is definitely the better boss. Okay. Who is the worst employee, Kara or Lena?
Kara, for sure.
Is Lena an employee of anything? Has she ever been in her whole life?
I mean, maybe she's kind of an employee at the tower now, but I don't think she earns any money.
Who knows?
But I think Lena has
a financial situation.
Lena has a good work ethic. She was always in that lab working on stuff.
Oh yeah, and in her office, would get to work.
Yeah, she shows up to work. That's
definitely Kara.
That's the major thing for Lena. She actually shows up.
All right. Would you rather have a boss like Andrea or an employee like Kara, but you can't fire them?
God, that's hard. Because I really would hate working for Andrea. I guess I would have to say employee like Kara. Because at least you know what you're getting with Kara. Like somebody else just cover for her because she's not going to show up.
I feel like employee like Kara, like this snap judgment doesn't say that like upper management has realized that your employee is really bad, right? So you're going to have to cover for her like a whole bunch because she's never going to be there. But at least she's nice, right? Like Andrea, I don't want to have to like walk in and have to deal with that kind of attitude.
Yeah, that's not a good environment.
Also, Andrea's like straight up bad at her job. Like that's all the things that she's telling him to do are like bad ideas. Like she's like, burn all your sources with the first story. He's like, what if I didn't do that? And I just kept giving you good stories that are going to get traffic. She's like, no, I want you to really make them mad so that they kick you out. And he's like, So I wouldn't want to have to deal with her.
No, she's terrible.
Okay. Our next set of snap judgments are from Emma. Better Olsen sibling superhero, Turtle Boy Jimmy and the Newsboy Legion, or Guardian Kelly and the News Gal Legion?
Oh, but I get Turtle Boy Jimmy.
It's a 2-for-1
with the Newsboy Legion. Oh, I mean, I really like Kelly, and I would love to see the News Gal Legion, but to get Turtle Boy with the Newsboy Legion, that's the one. I'm picking that.
I mean, 2-for-1. Obviously, I gotta go Turtle Boy. If you're given the option, you should always go Turtle Boy.
A Turtle Boy is always the option.
A Turtle Boy for all seasons. All right. Who was the best background Catco character? R.I.P. O.G. Kelly, never forget. Franklin, the Dryad desk dweller, or James's desk home?
Well, we do love O.G. Kelly on Supergirl Radio.
We do. Never
forget. But James's desk home, it had a journey. Like it had, it went through different style choices and many different people who were there with the desk. I think a lot of things happened in there with the desk. James got shot in there.
Oh my God.
In front of the desk. I mean,
in front of his home.
There were many things that revolved around the desk. So I'm going to go with the desk on this one.
I have to go with the desk. I feel like it was such a homey environment that he had created under there. He'd really imagined what he wanted that desk situation to look like and he brought it to life. I feel like in like another universe, he's like one of those Instagram influencers who's like home decor, and like underneath there is like beautiful. There's like a fake deer head on the wall. It's like white. You know the ones I'm talking about. There's so many candles under there, and it's beautiful under there. And so I have to go the desk home because I do miss that one specific joke about James. Okay. Which Supergirl mother / maternal figure would you want as your mom? Snarky and fabulous queen of all media mom Cat Grant? Cunning and world-conquering mom Rhea of Daxam? Or would definitely kill you, but might also try to poison you mom Lillian Luthor?
Lillian, I think, would definitely stick up for you if somebody was
That's true.
coming for you, and I like that. But I also would not want that drama, so I'm gonna pick Cat Grant.
Definitely Cat Grant is the one that's going to try to kill the least amount of people in that scenario. And I feel like for my personal life, I just want less murder. I want to watch it. I want to listen to podcasts about it. I don't want it near me. I don't want like a mom figure who's going to try to like take over a city. That's too much. That's too much drama. And then if she does take over the city, that's so much responsibility on me. So
less murder, more bonking. I think.
Yes, more bonking. Always
Yeah.
in favor of bonking. It is the correct decision in every scenario, I think. Okay. We have a snap judgment from Mark. Imagine where you were last Thursday at 1 p.m. So
Okay.
set your mind back. Okay.
I'm there.
Mark's telling a story here. Imagine Thursday, 1 p.m. The humanity of everyone who was within 100 feet of you at that moment, including above and below you if you were in a tall building, drains into you for one day so that you feel perfect empathy for 24 hours while they all go berserk. Or you have to watch your best friend eat pot stickers without utensils at lunchtime every day for a month.
I mean, that would probably get annoying.
It would get annoying.
There'd be a lot of like, maybe like smacking of the fingers and like I don't know that.
Because when you're dipping, you're like your fingers are gonna get the sauce on it. So then
Yeah.
there's be like a lot of like finger stuff in there.
But like that's
But it's livable.
But
It's
yeah, but you can
livable.
do it. Otherwise, there's a whole bunch of people causing chaos and like hurting each other.
And like if you're in a big building, above and below could get dicey, right? Because how do
Yeah.
you get out?
Right,
Yeah, you
right.
gotta-
You're stuck there for 24 hours.
You gotta go pot stickers in this
Yeah, I
scenario. Just
think I'm
like
gonna
white
go
knuckle
pot.
it through.
I can deal with it.
All right. So our last set of snap judgments comes from Anna. So we know that these are going to be a ride. And given the length of them, oh boy, Anna, here we go. All right. First, Nixley mentioned the guard having a family who loved him. What would have most likely happened if he had been killed? His only daughter, who he was raising as a single dad, would spend the rest of her childhood going from foster home to foster home, never feeling the loving hug of a parent again. As she struggles to cope, she ends up befriending another boy who visits his parents at the same cemetery her father is buried at. She falls in love with him, only for him to disappear without a trace a year later.
Oh no.
Oh my God, I want that YA novel though. Or, Anna, you have a real gift, by the way. Or the guard's older sister and best friend who had vowed to protect him her whole life is engulfed in grief, and she struggles to cope in a world where she can no longer hear her brother's laugh. The guilt from not being there to save him overwhelms her, and she dies at his grave 50 years later while holding a picture of them as children to her heart.
Wow, that one.
Wow, that was brutal.
Really tough.
That was brutal. Oh, geez, Anna.
I kind of like the foster home love story though.
I do too, because I feel like there's like a mystery component. Like after he disappears,
Yeah,
does she go looking for him,
Yeah, how did he die? Do we know how he died?
or maybe he went into hiding? Maybe he's in witness protection.
Oh no,
She
he didn't
finds
die.
him?
He didn't die. He just
He's just
disappeared.
missing. What if
Oh.
she saves him? What if she
Yeah, they
heroically
can
saves
reunite.
the day?
Yeah,
Reunite?
that could turn around, I think.
I would watch that movie. I would read that book. I'm in it. For the first one. The second one's too sad. I like the first one. There's mystery involved. It's dramatic. Okay. Number 2. Second Anna snap. Buckle up, because this one seems just as long. Okay, you are in the world of Supergirl during the events of the episode. What would you rather go through? You are close to the blast radius and lose your humanity. You roam the streets looking for anyone to attack as people run and scream. As your humanity is restored, you find yourself holding an axe above your head as a young foster girl looks up at you, crying in fear, a
Ooh.
gash already across her face.
Oh,
my
no.
God. And you have to live with the pain of that image for the rest of your life. Or you are trying to enjoy brunch with a loved one. When the chaos begins, you race down the street trying to reach safety. They hold onto your hand as you run because they trust you to keep them safe. Then suddenly you're confronted by a group of children on bikes with newspapers and bats, and you watch helplessly as they kill your loved one. When humanity is restored, you're still clutching their lifeless body, begging them to wake up again. So in this scenario, the news gal and or boy Legion has gone very wrong.
Oh no.
Oh no, not the news gal Legion.
I think I would have to pick the first one because at least you don't lose somebody.
Yeah, and you didn't kill anybody. You did bonk them on the head with an axe, which in this one case, is not the solution. But you did not murder anybody. And so since nobody got murdered in that scenario, and I didn't have to watch like somebody slowly get beaten to death with a rolled up newspaper, which would take a really long time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go first scenario.
Yes.
All right. Last Anna Snap judgment. Buckle in. This one's shorter. You are in a courtroom and your co-host is being held in a cage in front of you for a crime that they did not commit. Rebecca, you did not commit it. With their family and friends crying behind you. You have two buttons in front of you. Which one do you press? The left button, which will sentence your co-host to 10 years of manual labor in Siberia. Rebecca, I will not make that. With only one phone call home a year. But Kara ends up married to William in the show, and you get a free 5-day vacation to Nebraska. Nebraska's not as much of a draw as you think, Anna. Or the right button, which will set your co-host free, but Kara and Lena end up married in the show and the star in a spin-off series focused on Supergirl and Lena that will end up running for 10 seasons.
Okay, Morgan, can I make my case for how you should sentence me? Like,
okay,
I'll plead my case.
Yes. Okay, and I'm going to plead my case.
Yeah, and then you can make the judgment.
I like it.
So okay, I definitely did not commit the crime, but I would love a travel vacation to Siberia. I'm okay doing some manual labor. It seems like labor makes it seem like I'll still get paid. Yeah, I'll get a lot of exercise. I'll probably
Think of
get
how bulked up
outside.
you'll be.
I'll have a lot of steps. I can maybe save one phone call home a year. I can make those count. Also, I like the idea of the free 5-day vacation to Nebraska. I could be into that.
So,
It gives me a vacation.
The question is, do you get the free 5-day vacation, or do I think I get that free 5-day vacation.
Wait, hang on.
I think I get it. So
I would get sentenced to 10 years manual labor in Siberia with only one phone call home a year. But Kara ends up married to William in the show, and you only get
and I get a
see
free
how you're
5-day
reading that.
vacation.
So
I
don't get the vacation.
You know, I'm sorry, you're not going to Nebraska. You're going straight to Siberia to haul rocks.
It still doesn't sound so bad. I mean, I could maybe be into it. What is the manual labor project we're doing? She didn't specify what. Maybe it could be a really fun project.
What if you make a beautiful cathedral? What if it's a wonder of the world and you end up in a textbook someday, Rebecca? Did you consider that, Anna?
Because the alternative.
Again, do I have to go to Nebraska? Suddenly, all of our Nebraska listeners have stopped listening.
Because the alternative, I'm making the case for Siberia because the alternative is that there's a show that goes on for 10 seasons.
Rebecca, on the flip side, we get to podcast about that show for 10 seasons. That sounds like a win-win to me.
But is it written by the same showrunners and writers?
Here's the thing. Anna did not specify.
So I'm going to assume new writers.
I'm going to assume that not only new writers, the best writers. The show is with only 2 main characters from the first show. It really has time to focus in on Kara and her struggles and her journey and Lena just wearing increasingly weird witch outfits. It just gets witchier and witchier as the episodes and the seasons go by until the end of the show. She's basically just riding around on a broomstick full time playing Quidditch with nobody else because no one will ever play with her. So I'm advocating for the 10 years of the Cara and Lena spinoff show. That's my Supercorp ! Because I think, first off, I'm in favor. This is going to be a great show. Second of all, again, she did not say it was with the same creative team. So this could finally be the Supergirl show of our dreams. Just a deep dive into the psyche of Cara Zor-El with Lena doing magic.
I mean, they could introduce Comet the Superhorse and
Comet
all
could
the
come.
things. I mean,
Well, now there's magic, so things
Yeah.
are crazy, right? Like,
that's true.
Cara's like, this is my wife. She's a witch, and Lena's like, oh, don't think she's being mean about me. I'm really a witch. and Cara's like, that's just a little thing we do when we introduce ourselves.
All right,
Like,
so
it could be fun.
So I guess I will be I'll be pushing the right button, which will set you free, Morgan.
Yay!
And then Cara and Lena end up married in the show and star in a spinoff series that lasts for 10 seasons.
10 seasons.
That's
Rebecca,
a lot.
A decade of that podcast. Supercore Radio, our spinoff podcast.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I mean, this one lasted 6, so it flew by. 10 years, a decade's just gonna fly on by.
Yeah, I don't know how would you sentence me?
I
did make a case for Siberia.
You did make a case for Siberia, so, and I feel like you get real swole out there.
I do need to exercise more.
But how am I can't do the podcast alone is the thing. No one's coming. Who's going to make the Google Doc? No one's coming to just watch me barely remember an episode. And so I'm sorry, but I'm sentencing you to 10 years of Supercore Radio.
I don't know how I feel about that sentencing, but I guess I'll have to live with it.
I think we get everything we want. I think Snapper shows up. He starts snapping
Oh,
immediately.
yeah.
Director Bones is there. He's just Bones in a suit.
It's the show of our dreams.
Maybe it's on. I think you know what? I think it's on HBO Max, and they've got HBO Max money.
That's
and
where
so
all
Director
the good shows
Bones is
are.
just everywhere. He's just all over the place.
Okay.
Comet's there.
Okay, I'm into it. Okay, you sold me.
I pitched it out.
I think I could maybe live with that. Maybe I'll choose that over Siberia. I could maybe live with that. All right, so let's wrap up Snap Judgments, and we'll end the live stream. No judgments on your Snap Judgments. All right, well, that is going to do it for this episode on the Supergirl Season 6 episode titled Magical Thinking. And we will have to get to some DC TV podcasts and Supergirl Radio plugs as soon as I figure out the right video to play. But this will help you know how to keep in touch with us and where to find all of our stuff. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio is part of the DC TV Podcast Network, so if you also like The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Titans, Doom Patrol, Batwoman, Stargirl, Superman and Lois, and the upcoming Green Lantern, Justice League Dark, and Strange Adventure shows, and DC TV After Dark. You can subscribe to the DC TV Podcast Mega Feed on Apple Podcasts. Follow at DC TV Podcast on Twitter, and like DC TV Podcasts on Facebook, or else. This has been a message from Hope, inhabiting the Flash vessel, also known as New Rachel.
And I just realized in my rush of things this week, I forgot to create a little TeePublic graphic to promote something from the store. But you should just know that the TeePublic store has a lot of great things in it. So go.
All
check
kinds
it
of
out.
stuff. There's like Lena stuff, there's Jean stuff, Dreamer stuff, anything that you can imagine in your mind. It's there.
And
It's there.
there's some Supergirl Radio stuff in there. There's a Snap Judgments design. So definitely go
I think
check
my
it.
favorite is Rama Khan's Rama Wine.
Yeah,
though. I think that's
that is that's the only Rama Khan merchandise probably on TeePublic.
it's that exists in the universe
On the
probably.
internet. so get that exclusive Rama Khan Rama Wine t-shirt or mug because it's there in the DC TV podcast TeePublic store. All right. Well, we need to get to thanking our Legion of Super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. That would be Michael, Sam, Anne Marie, Yvonne, Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, Susan, Abby, Irmgard, Miriam, Cherie, Donna, Nicole, Lizette, and Anna. Thank you all for your support. We do have 4 monthly levels. If you would like to support what we do here, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio and become one of our members of our Supergirl Radio Patreon. You guys help keep the lights on at Supergirl Radio, and we just like to give back and give you some exclusive bonus things. So we will be doing our quarterly review next week. We've decided on doing the Green Lantern live action film with Ryan Reynolds. Because that is something that Morgan has never seen and I haven't watched in a while. So that should be a good review.
I unfortunately, in our last quarterly review, I revealed a shocking secret, like John's shocking secret, which is that I was like, Rebecca, I don't care for Green Lantern. And so I think Rebecca's trying to win me over to, I was like, what's the point of him? I don't get it. So now I'm trying to learn more about Green Lantern to just try to see is my opinion correct, or am I incorrect about Green Lantern? Is he did I just misunderstand him?
You did like Moga the sentient planet that was associated with
I love that guy.
Yeah. From Rebirth, I think. So yeah, so that's good stuff. So should we tell people about Flat Supergirl?
Oh, I would love to. As a reminder, we're still running our Flat Supergirl photography contest, and we're running it until the end of Supergirl. So you still have another month to get your Flat Supergirl images. And to enter, you just download and print Flat Supergirl, which you can find in the video description of this live stream, in the show notes of the audio podcast, or at the right-hand side of supergirlradio.com. Then you cut out Flat Supergirl and attach her with glue or tape to a popsicle stick, a pen, a pencil. And then you're just going to want to take a creative picture with Flat Supergirl. Now, this can be a selfie, but it doesn't have to be. And it can be pretty much anything. You can take Flat Supergirl on an adventure with you. You can just kind of hang out with Flat Supergirl. Hey, you've got chores around the house, don't you? Well, why doesn't she help you with that? Like, what is she doing? What is she doing?
She's so
busy with her
lazy.
time? Why is she so lazy? Listen, I'm not telling you to put Flat Supergirl to work, but she is just sitting there and you're doing all the work. Have her fold some laundry. Have her do some dishes. Not with too much water, though. She is paper. So as you put Flat Supergirl to work, sort of tidying up around your house. She's got super speed, so she can do it very quickly. You're going to want to take a picture and post those pictures, as many as you'd like. You can get her doing all the chores in your house and take all of those pictures and then post them to Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Make sure you tag at Supergirl Radio and use the hashtag Supergirl Adventures.
Yeah, put her to work.
Put her to work. What's she doing? What's she up to?
She's so lazy. Get her doing stuff. Well, you can find me on Instagram at the Derby Kid. You can also check me out on my personal YouTube channel at youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I'm still going through my Batman v Superman reviews, the top critics' negative reviews of BVS, still going through those. I discussed previously the disgraced reviewer from the Star Tribune and how I couldn't find his review on the internet now because it was wiped. And then one of my viewers found it, I guess, on the Wayback Machine. So maybe I'll have to review it now that I have a link to it and can look at it. So we'll maybe take a look at that next time around. But we're still going through the reviews. If you want to hop in there on Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern, we are still hanging out and talking some film analysis.
Nice. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. You can also find me as a co-host, if you will. I'm going to make that take off. The word co-host is just too long. You can find me as a host on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, where we just dropped an episode rating all of Legends of Tomorrow season 6 on our patented OWL rating system. If you say, how can you have patented that? That seems like it's from Harry Potter. We haven't, and don't tell J.K. Rowling. But so we went through the season and we rated the episodes. So if you watch the season and you're interested in how many episodes got outstandings or trolls, that's a great episode to check out. If you haven't watched the season and you're like, boy, I would love a concise recap of season 6 of Legends of Tomorrow. Concise it is not, but it will give you a recap of that season, and won't even have to have watched it.
Oh,
so
that's perfect.
So it's perfect.
Yeah.
So you should check that out. We also probably have a pretty fun kind of a fantasy football thing coming up. Maybe a draft. Even.
Ooh, I like that idea.
So you should definitely make sure that you are subscribed so that you get that episode that will be coming pretty soon. And then I'm also a host on DC TV After Dark, which I see a couple of people in the chat are asking if it is an annual show now or when there will be a new episode. Good questions. Good questions all. We are planning a new episode. ... soon. What we like about the show really is what I call the mystery aspect. Will we update again? When? What month? What day? What year? So the best way to know is just to subscribe, because when that episode comes, because we have no set schedule, we just kind of feel it in the atmosphere when it's time. It's kind of like Lena's magic. It will just like appear before us. We sniff a branch and we're like, that's it. So you're going to want to be subscribed when it just suddenly pops up on your podcast feed. But we are hopefully gonna record an episode pretty soon, but I'm not agreeing to any time frame or date.
Can't guarantee anything
because it's always wrong.
What was I the last episode that came out? Did I break DC TV After Dark?
Oh, we were broken far before you, Rebecca.
Well,
it's been a while.
Yeah, well, I look forward to it because I think DC TV After Dark is very, very fun. So please make more episodes. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And we hope you'll embrace your humanity this week.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.